The cafe was quiet that morning, except for the soft clinking of cups and the occasional murmur of early patrons. Sunlight streamed through the tall windows, casting warm patterns on the wooden floor. Lila sat at a small corner table, nervously tapping her fingers against the edge. She had been coming to this cafe for years, drawn not by the food or the ambiance, but by Armin, the young man who worked there and had captured her heart without even trying. Armin was nothing like the men Lila had known before. He wore worn-out shoes, carried a battered leather bag, and drove an old car that groaned every time he turned a corner. He had no luxurious apartment, no expensive suits, and no connections to open doors that others could only dream of. But every time he smiled at her, every time he listened with genuine interest to her stories, every time he shared his quiet laugh, Lila felt wealthier than any heiress at a gala. "Good morning," Armin said, sliding into the seat across from her. His eyes twinkled, and for a moment, Lila forgot the world outside the cafe. "Good morning," she replied, smiling shyly. "Sorry I'm early, I just couldn't wait to see you." Armin chuckled softly, brushing his hair back. "You always make me feel special, Lila. And trust me, seeing you is the best part of my day." For a long moment, they sat in silence, simply enjoying each other's presence. Lila admired the way Armin's hands moved as he spoke, the way his expressions shifted subtly with every sentence. There was a depth to him that no wealth could buy, a sincerity that no status could imitate. "Armin," Lila began, her voice barely above a whisper, "do you ever feel like people judge us?" Armin's brow furrowed slightly. "What do you mean?" Lila hesitated, choosing her words carefully. "I mean, our families, our friends. They see you and think of what you don't have, your apartment, your car, your money. They don't see the man I see." Armin reached across the table, gently taking her hand in his. His grip was firm, comforting. "Lila, I know what they think. But I've never cared what anyone else thinks. I care about us, about you. That's all that matters." Her heart fluttered. She knew he was right, but the whispers of society still lingered in her mind. I don't want to be judged for loving you," she confessed. Armin's smile deepened, and he leaned closer. "Then don't think about them. They don't get to define our love. We do." For the first time in a long while, Lila felt completely safe. Here, in this simple cafe, amid the aroma of coffee and the soft hum of conversations, love existed without pretense, without expectation. She didn't need diamond rings or designer clothes. She didn't need fancy trips or luxurious homes. She had Armin, and that was everything. Days turned into weeks, and weeks into months. Their love blossomed quietly, away from the prying eyes of society. Lila watched Armin pour his heart into everything he did, serving customers with patience, helping elderly neighbors, and even rescuing stray cats that wandered into the street. His kindness was constant, unwavering, and Lila found herself falling deeper each day. One evening, as they walked home under the golden glow of streetlights, Armin stopped and turned to her. "Lila, I know we're not rich," he said softly, "but I want to spend my life with you. Will you marry me?" Tears welled up in Lila's eyes, not because of the proposal itself, but because she realized she had already promised herself to him in every small way, through her laughter, her patience, her trust, and her love. "Yes," she whispered, hugging him tightly. "Yes, I will." And in that moment, surrounded by the ordinary streets of the city, with no grandeur or fanfare, Lila knew she had found something extraordinary, a love that couldn't be measured in money, only in moments, in trust, and in hearts that beat as one. Little did she know, Armin harbored a secret so immense that it could change everything. But for now, in the quiet comfort of their humble love, it didn't matter. Love, in its purest form, was enough. 2 months had passed since Lila and Armin's simple, heartfelt wedding. Their life together was modest but filled with laughter, shared dreams, and quiet contentment. Lila loved the way Armin's eyes lit up at small joys, the morning sunrise, the aroma of fresh bread, the excitement of helping someone in need. She believed their life was perfect in its simplicity, never imagining that beneath Armin's humble exterior lay a secret world of unimaginable wealth. It was a Friday evening, and Lila returned home from work, exhausted yet happy. She pushed open the door to their apartment, expecting the familiar sight of worn furniture and cozy clutter. But as the door swung open, she froze. The apartment had been transformed entirely. Golden accents shimmered from the walls, rare paintings adorned every corner, and crystal chandeliers hung gracefully from the ceiling. The faint hum of classical music filled the air, replacing the usual quiet of their humble home. What is this?" Lila whispered, stepping inside cautiously, her eyes wide with disbelief. From the other room, Armin emerged, impeccably dressed, holding a glass of champagne. His smile was calm, almost mischievous. "Surprised?" he asked, raising an eyebrow. Lila's hand flew to her mouth. I don't understand. All of this, it's yours." Her voice trembled as she glanced around, trying to process the lavishness that now surrounded her. Armin nodded. "Yes, every piece, every corner, but I didn't want you to know until the time was right." He stepped closer, taking her hands in his. "I wanted you to love me for me, not for what I have." Tears welled up in Lila's eyes. "Armin, I loved you long before I knew about any of this. I loved the man who made me laugh, who cared about everyone around him, who made even the smallest moments feel magical. Nothing else mattered." Armin smiled, his eyes glistening. "That's why I waited. I didn't want our love to be influenced by money. I wanted it to be real. And you gave me that love without a single doubt." Lila's mind was racing. The man she thought was living paycheck to paycheck had billions at his disposal. Mansions, luxury cars, investments, even companies, everything she had ever imagined as impossible for their life had been quietly hers all along. Yet, despite the shock, her heart felt lighter, freer, because the love she shared with Armin had never been about wealth. "Why keep it a secret for so long?" she asked softly, still trying to process the reality. Armin chuckled. "Because, my love, I wanted to be sure that you loved me, not my fortune. Wealth can make people change, or it can attract the wrong kind of attention. I didn't want that for us. I wanted our foundation to be strong, built only on trust, laughter, and love." Lila hugged him tightly, burying her face in his chest. "You fool," she whispered with a tearful laugh. "You could have told me anytime. I wanted the moment to be perfect," Armin replied, holding her close. "And I think now, in this very moment, it is." As days turned into weeks, Lila slowly adjusted to the new reality. Luxurious dinners, private trips, and world-class experiences replaced their modest routines, yet nothing changed about their relationship. Armin remained the same caring, humble man she had married. He still laughed at her clumsy attempts to cook, still stayed up late to listen to her thoughts, still found joy in helping others. Wealth had changed nothing about the man she loved, it only magnified the life they could build together. One evening, as they sat together on a balcony overlooking the city skyline, Lila rested her head on Armin's shoulder. The world glittered below, millions of lights twinkling like stars, yet all she felt was the warmth of his hand in hers. "Life is strange, isn't it?" she mused. "I married a poor man, and now, I'm living with a billionaire." Armin laughed softly. "Strange, yes, but perfect, because the person I married is still the same person I love every day. That will never change, no matter how much money I have." Lila smiled, her heart full. She realized then that love, the kind that endures, doesn't need grandeur or wealth. True love is invisible to the eyes but felt deep within the heart. And as she held Armin, she knew that their journey had only just begun, a journey where love and trust were worth more than any fortune. For Lila, the world had changed overnight, but nothing had changed about what truly mattered. She had married not a poor man, nor a billionaire, but a man whose heart was rich beyond measure. The first few weeks after Armin revealed his secret billionaire status were like living in a dream. Lila walked through their apartment in awe every morning, still marveling at the golden chandeliers, the intricate artwork, and the breathtaking view of the city skyline from their floor-to-ceiling windows. Luxury surrounded her, yet every time she looked at Armin, all the opulence in the world felt secondary. Armin, for his part, was determined that wealth would never overshadow the love they had built. He insisted on keeping many of their old routines, morning coffee at the same cafe, evening walks through quiet streets, and laughter-filled cooking sessions in their kitchen. He wanted Lila to remember that life wasn't about money, but about connection, trust, and joy. One morning, Lila stepped out onto the balcony with her cup of tea. Below, the city stretched endlessly, glittering with lights that mirrored her emotions, shocked, overwhelmed, yet strangely serene. Armin joined her, wrapping an arm around her shoulder. "You're quiet," he observed. "Thinking about all the things money can buy." Lila shook her head, smiling softly. "No, I'm thinking about all the things it can't buy. And how lucky I am that we found love before all of this." Armin kissed her forehead, That's all I ever wanted. To make sure that what we have is real. Wealth can give comfort, but it can't create love. Despite his efforts, adapting to the new world wasn't easy. Lila faced curious glances from strangers, subtle judgments from distant relatives, and unexpected expectations from acquaintances who suddenly wanted her attention. For a moment, she wondered if their lives had changed too quickly. But Armin's steady presence reminded her what truly mattered. One afternoon, they hosted a small gathering for friends. Lila noticed that while the space was magnificent, the conversations and laughter felt intimate and genuine, just as they always had been in their modest apartment. The guests weren't there for the gold or the view, they were there for Armin and Lila, for their personalities, their joy, their love. Later that evening, Armin took Lila by the hand and led her to a quiet part of the apartment, the rooftop garden he had created just for them. Soft lights twinkled among the flowers, and a gentle breeze carried the scent of roses. "I wanted to give you something special," he said. "Not just luxury, but moments you'll remember forever. A garden where we can dream, laugh, and be ourselves, no distractions, no expectations." Lila's eyes glistened with tears. "Armin, it's perfect. But really, the best part is that it's you. Not the money, not the gold, not the cars or the penthouses, just you." Armin smiled and took her hand in his. "And I promise, no matter how much changes around us, I will never stop being the man you fell in love with. I will never stop valuing what we have above everything else." Their life continued to unfold in ways neither of them could have imagined. They traveled to exotic destinations, dined in world-class restaurants, and attended elegant parties. Yet, amidst all the grandeur, they never lost the small joys that had first drawn them together: late-night conversations, walks in the rain, quiet mornings sharing coffee. Wealth had enhanced their opportunities, but it had never altered their hearts. One rainy evening, as they sat by the fireplace with their favorite books, Lila realized something profound. "You know, Armin, I married a poor man, but what I got in return is priceless. I married a man who is richer than anyone could imagine, not because of money, but because of his heart, his love, and his honesty." Armin chuckled, pulling her close. "And I married a woman who could see the man I truly am, beyond the surface, beyond the wealth. That's worth more than everything else combined." As the rain pattered gently against the windows, Lila felt an overwhelming sense of peace. She understood now that life could surprise her in the most extraordinary ways, but love, the kind that sees the heart and not the wallet, would always remain the greatest fortune of all. Together, they looked out at the city lights, knowing that their journey had only just begun. The world may have changed overnight, but their love remained constant, unshaken, and richer than any treasure money could buy. And in that moment, Lila realized a truth she would carry forever. Love, when real and pure, is more powerful than wealth, more lasting than status, and far more extraordinary than anything she had ever imagined.